Hello, this is saxophonist Antonio Parker, and this is A Conversation in Jazz, where we are promoting jazz through telling the stories. Our guest today is the veteran jazz bassist, educator, composer, and bandleader, Mr. Michael Bowie. We ask you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so we can let you know when we are posting another video or going live. We also ask you to donate to our Cash App in order to support the channel and help us to produce future videos. Our Cash App is $Jazzology 101. That's $Jazzology 101. Enjoy the video. Hi, I'm saxophonist Antonio Parker, and this is A Conversation in Jazz. Our guest today is a master of both the electric and acoustic bass. He is a virtuoso musician with a career that spans across genres and continents. He is a composer, educator, bandleader, and music producer who has performed with the likes of Betty Carter, Abbey Lincoln, Sarah Vaughn, the Harper Brothers, Abdulla Ibrahim, Patti Labelle, Isaac Hayes, Gil Scott-Heron, and many others. He is one of our veteran bassists here in the DMV. Please welcome my big brother, the wonderful bassist, Mr. Michael Bowie. What's up, good brother?
Yeah. What's happening, Antonio?
Good, man. Welcome to A Conversations in Jazz.
Man, I appreciate what you're doing.
Appreciate you. Thank you, man. Yeah,
man.
Yeah, I don't know where I first met you. I can't tell where I first met you, but
We're gonna stop the car for a second. You used to call me when you were at Howard University.
Uh-huh.
And boy, I knew you were gonna be a hell of a musician, man.
Oh wow!
You had 1,000 questions. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah. You used to call me all the time, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, this, that, and other. What do you think about this one?
Yeah.
And that sort of inquiry by cats that you have gone out and searched, just like I did with Keter Betts and all those greats, man.
Yeah, we did that, man. We it was all about asking questions, man.
That's right. You got to find out who's doing what you want to do, and ask questions of that person. Like, how do we get there? What do we think about?
And I remember when I was in college, I saw this recording, man. It had five of these brothers with tuxedos on. You know what album I'm talking about?
Yeah. the memory the fog cleared. Yeah.
The Harper Brothers.
That's right.
And I remember, man, listening to that album, man, and I think that's why I first knew of you.
Yeah.
And so, and we're gonna talk about some of the people you played with, man. You done played with everybody.
Blessed. That's what it is. It's being blessed. It's not. I guess it partly has to do with the talent, but just the fortunateness of my life. Mm-hmm. It's like, the spirits just came and sprinkled those blessings upon me, man.
And are you still feeling those blessings?
Oh, every single day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how can you not have a conversation on the road with Joe Williams and not be inspired for the rest of your life?
No doubt.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
It's just It's like this, like after we finish talking, I would have been blessed further, and that's what we carry. It's not, I did this and I did that. It's people connecting, and that's really what music is. That's all music.
Yeah. I asked you because during those, I came to D.C. in the late '80s. The music industry is totally different than it is now. Mm-hmm. In fact, that period was called like it was like a resurgence of jazz, and you right in the midst of that, especially with Betty Carter and Abbey Lincoln, because they like the young cats on it. And so
mentorship.
And I mean, so that time you had a lot of jazz was it was just burgeoning.
Yeah.
And then young cats from different cities,
mm-hmm.
And they would all come through D.C. And I was in D.C. at the time, but comparing that to now, is it is it harder, or is it you got to be more resourceful? How's that? You know.
Let me go back just a couple of decades, not to the current, right?
Okay.
But when Ben Williams and Corcoran Ho was 11 and 12 and 13 years old, 14, and Rashawn Carter, and they used to, not Ben, but Corcoran and Rashawn used to come over to my house. And I knew they had what it took, you know, to be as great as they have become. But I always, even back then, so this must have been like this is the early 2000s. And I always wondered what was going to be there for them, you know, when they started, you know, because when I stopped traveling as much as I did back in the early to mid 2000s, I just saw the work changing, right? And everything, as Dick Gregory said to me, everything, you can just follow the money. So this really kind of talks about, answers directly your question. When I was young, the governments of all, you know, the major jazz places and arts places, right? Because jazz was everywhere in the world. The larger governments used to give the smaller municipalities funds to put on their arts for the year.
Okay.
And you think about that, like every little goat town in France, Germany, Switzerland, I can go on and on and on, all the way through. Even certain parts of Russia, you know, would give their small municipalities money to do arts programming. So they would have their own festivals.
Yeah.
We were in buses that stopped at every little town.
Wow.
Every town. That's how much work there was. When the housing crisis hit, right?
2008.
The money, and right before then too, the money started to dry up like quite a bit.
Wow.
And but when the crisis hit, the governments, larger governments, weren't giving those small towns that kind of money anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So what does that mean for us? It's just less work.
Yeah.
You know.
And you saw that thing coming.
Well, I didn't. Nobody could predict that.
Yeah.
But I had already committed in other ways to start giving back to my community back then.
Gotcha.
Right. Through mentorship and other things that were available to me because I had spent so much time, and my reputation had gotten to a place where I could go into a meeting with pretty much any entity from Smithsonian on down. In this town. So when you get there, like Keter Betts,
Yeah.
When you get to that place, it's like, what do? You still want to just gig?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or can you use your place that you've earned to do something larger, something with a larger vision?
Yeah.
You know?
I also noticed you started going, and you probably was doing this before, you started going musically in different directions. You know what I'm saying?
My entire life.
Yeah.
All right, come on, let's get to it. We can have that laugh. Rapping and singing. And Dick Smith, he gives me the blues about that, as only Dick Smith can.
Yeah.
You know, that part, well, there's two sides of that. I grew up, my mother was both my parents were classical musicians.
Wow.
Graduated Howard University. My mother was, I'm too dumb to even know. What's the highest? Summa cum laude. Yeah. Something I couldn't even pronounce. My mother was summa cum laude. She went to school with Roberta Flack.
Oh, wow.
And it's during those same years. And so I used to wake up in the morning and hear classical. My father's a woodwind player, Roscoe, and my mother, Geraldine, pianist. I used to hear the classical duets as a baby, you know. And so my mother was in 19th Street Baptist Church, and those were my first gigs. And my father had a program here that had Chris Royal and Chuck Royal and a number of other cats came through, Keith Mathis and lots of other cats used to come through. Davey Yarborough.
Wow.
He took lessons, some lessons with my dad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, like, your dad was into jazz and R&B, arranged and all that kind of thing, and my mom was gospel. So I grew up playing all
That
kinds
explains
of
it, man.
Yeah. Go ahead, tell them.
I have this theory, man, is that all the kids whose parents are musicians, man, they have this. To me, I know you worked and practiced,
right.
and all that, and studied and all that.
Right.
But man, they got this thing where music seems to they have a natural sense of musicality and so did music come easy for you?
I laugh because I teach at Duke Ellington School for the Arts now, and I use that word easy, and I always put the brakes on. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, y'all. You know what? You know nothing in music is easy. Yeah, right. Gotcha. If that was the case, my sister would be. Well, let me change easy for
natural.
Right.
Was it natural?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it was. You know what it is? It's just something I couldn't do without. Let's just start there, right? Because, I went home crying from bass lessons.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like Bob Gibson. He retired as the director of music at the University of Maryland. He was one of my early teachers, classical. And I went home crying, man. It was well beyond what I was giving at the time, and I knew how to give more.
Gotcha.
And if you're willing to do that, no matter what it is that you do, you're going to reach some modicum of success.
Gotcha.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people whose parents are musicians. Yeah. And they don't even want nothing to do with that.
So do you have perfect pitch?
No.
Oh God. I noticed you have very good. I mean,
ears are developed. Yeah. Right. Perfect pitch is something.
And I'm going to ask you because I need to develop mine. So I'm going to ask you how you get it.
That's why I love you, man, because you still asking questions. I love it.
No, man.
That's the inquiry, right?
So I remember a couple of weeks I was at your studio at the crib, and you was trying to give me this melody. You say 1 7, and I'm saying.
All those things are developed, man. It's like, and look. A lot of the difference is this. It's not. Yeah, my father will sit here and tell you, as he's told many people, it's like what I'm doing and what I've been exposed to is well beyond what my parents were exposed to. Right? And that's the blessing that you want for all your kids, right? Like my kids are doing so well at 30 and 32, like I couldn't fathom it, right? And they're gonna go well beyond me, and that's what I love. Yeah. So that was my duty to my parents. They gave me something that I'm supposed to go out and get more from. So, and see, some people, it's weird now, maybe because I don't do the social media thing where I'm like, hey, I'm out with this person, I've done this, and first thing, I'm too old. You know what I mean? I literally am. And so sometimes when I talk about things, it sounds, a lot of people get like, there he goes, with that again. Yeah. But it's I can't alter my actual life to make other people feel comfortable. You know what I mean?
So that means you need like a manager to tell because you want to be humble and minded.
No, but I'm just talking about conversations. I'm just talking about conversations. That's the thing. Like you talk about the difference in generation. Like you can't, maybe because you can kind of make yourself whatever you want to be. And people look and like, oh wow, you know what I mean? But like I actually, it was a one-off gig with Cedar Walton in Kansas City with Bobby Watson was teaching out there, remember? And Darren Barrett was on trumpet. Carl Allen was on drums. And actually just sitting down and listening and paying attention, when during the hit and sound check and all, anytime the Cedar was sitting at the piano. Yeah. And, and having those kind of countless exposure to these things. And Barry Harris, the way I changed bass notes to make something from major to minor, to diminished, and the piano player can stay right there. Barry Harris talks about these things. Some people I've encountered feel like, oh man, he's messing up the changes again. Barry Harris talks about dropping the bass and moving the bass around, and it's just paying attention to the masters. You know what I mean? Yeah. that exposure to those types of things really helps develop
Gotcha.
one's ear.
Gotcha.
You know.
I want to go back.
Yeah.
Before I like to ask people how they picture themselves. So I got to ask you, who is Michael Bowie?
Who am I? Man, that's a beautiful question. I thought about something when I walked in, and you mentioned, like kind of how I've done like a lot of different things, and I've tried. For me, it was a great group, Center Quanon, with Victor Provost and Mark Prince and Lyle Link. And matter of fact, you played, you did some gigs with us. From that kind of classical meets jazz fusion to rapping and singing. And, I think it's kind of culminated all of these different musics and different experiences and different spices and flavors to what I'm doing now, which is something that I feel like I've arrived at my calling, which is really to give back. I have a company, District Collective, and hope you guys will put some information on it after. But it takes production, it takes ears, it takes exposure to the business of music, it takes the connections I've been able to make throughout the city and try to galvanize these people. My involvement in District Collective brings all of those good things together. Yeah. And I'm able to, with the help of, let me name them, Lucy Chumbley, Gretchen Luckett, Aaron Snedeker. I've had the pleasure of, we've had meetings, Michael Robinson sat in and talked, and Maureen Diner. So we were about to go to nonprofit status. Gotcha. And our workshops, our other events and things that we're planning, I feel good because I'm at the epicenter of all those things that I know that people could use, and to be able to work to formulate programming that will be able to share the codes. Beautiful. You know what I mean? Yeah, to share the codes. Yeah. I'm here, man. And I'm happy. Beautiful. I'm happy. You still smiling? Oh man. You know what I'm saying? Smiling, but you always smile, man. Even when you was teaching the DCPS. Hey, you know what though? Fillmore Arts Center. Now, talking about the codes, we have to, I had Eric Wheeler and all these greats, man, just come in and subbing for me as they were kind of getting their stuff ready. Yeah. So many people. But, man, I'm going to tell you that was a secret because I'm out now. I work 14 hours a week, full-time pay with pension. And I could take off and still travel anytime I wanted to. Beautiful. And I get so. Is that where you at now? Is that where you at now? No. So the great Carolyn Kellogg, she. So I got out in 2017. Carolyn Kellogg during the pandemic, she taught at Duke Ellington for 42 years. So she taught Corcoran, she taught Ben. Celine. Yeah. Everybody who went for 42 years. So it was in the middle of the pandemic, and it was too much for her to try to do lessons online. I mean, those were some lost years educationally. Yeah. Man. So they called me, and it was a good time because the pandemic, everything kind of dried up, so I could stay home. And do your thing. Yeah, and Ike Daniel and made it happen, and Yarborough called them on, and say, hey, So, Mr. Yarborough, I should put a Mr. in front of that. Yeah. The esteemed. That's where I'm at. I'm at Duke Ellington, and I love it. I've got as many as 7 or 8 bass students. I got 5 now, spanning each grade level. But I get to just do bass, and and it's classical.
Yeah.
And those who want jazz, I'll talk that.
Beautiful.
But full scholarships, man. Like what?
Yeah.
Kids are working hard, man.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Let's go back, man. I want to, first of all, where are you originally from?
I was born at Andrews Air Force Base.
Oh, wow.
And my dad was in the military for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sea Pleasant, Maryland. I remember we used to live over that way.
Mm-hmm.
And Anacostia, live over that way. So it's almost really, Suitland Parkway has been my life.
Yes.
Yeah. So PG County mostly.
Okay.
A little bit of DC.
Did you hang out in D.C. coming up?
PG County?
Yeah,
I'm talking
it's right
about,
across the.
hold on.
Yeah.
Let me tell you where it is. You know where Valley Green is?
Was that?
Valley Green.
No.
That was in the projects where the great basketball games used to happen. I'm not Congress Heights. Congress
Okay.
Heights and all, around there. They ain't nothing but
Yeah,
DC.
yeah,
bro.
yeah,
Alabama Avenue.
Yeah, I know that. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So Southern Avenue was the line, and we grew up maybe 200 yards away from Southern Avenue.
Okay.
So it was DC.
Yeah.
Oh,
No
it
doubt.
was real DC.
Now, you mentioned that your parents were musical.
Yeah.
You have a sister?
Yes.
Okay.
Accounting.
Yeah, okay. She ain't going that direction.
Well, she played in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, she played like some percussion, in high school, maybe even junior high school.
What was your first instrument?
Piano. I
Piano?
was a little kid. My mother's a pianist, so I used to. I think I had one or two little recitals at home.
So how'd you gravitate towards the bass?
Well, then I took a detour. My dad, maybe I was, interested or whatever. I think I tried to play trumpet or clarinet. Mm-hmm. My dad had me on the floor with the case on my stomach. I was like, nah. Then I had to suck with that reed. Forget about that, man. No damn way. I can't do that. So my father had a program at the Northwest Settlement House. And it was his brother, Edward Agnew, God rest his soul. Some people listening may remember him. He was a great electric bass player. Mm-hmm. And that's the band that Chris Royal and Chuck Royal were in. And they were little kids, man. We were all little kids. And I saw that. I was like, man, that's what I got to do.
Really?
That's what I got to do. It was like the sound hit me. And he was ultra funky. Oh my God! But he was. It's just that's what got me.
So you started out on electric bass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was I've been this short until today. I grew up a little bit.
Yeah.
But
So when did you gravitate towards the acoustic
bass. I didn't start till college. First year in college.
Really?
Yeah. I was maybe just graduating. So I graduated high school when I was 17. Mm-hmm. And I went to Bowie State, and that's when I started studying with Bob Gibson. But I also, oh my God, what is his name? He used to work with Shirley Horn. This is a friend of my family's. He's a very well-known bass player. I went to his funeral maybe 10 years ago. Oh my God, I can't remember.
Not Washington.
His brother used to live up near Tacoma, D.C. But I used to go over his house a few times. But it was college. I mean, it was my first year in college when I started the upright bass.
So when you were coming up, did you also? You said you played in a church.
Oh yeah, 19th Street Baptist Church.
Really?
Yeah.
You playing piano or bass?
No, bass.
Okay.
Yeah, red brick.
So how did the church impact you as a musician? Did it have any influence at all?
Everything we do, whether we're listening or we're playing, all of it influences us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it should. And there's no way it can't. It's just music touches us, man. So I just go home and just start playing along with records, and then the spirit of the church and having my mother there, it was special. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Special. Yeah.
Yeah. So, were you like a prodigy, like one of those kind of cats?
Oh man, you asking? That's a weird question. You gonna mess up my reputation even more than it is now.
I asked Warren Shad that he don't have no. He said he'll tell you I was a child prodigy.
He was. Oh, he
Yeah.
definitely was. I'd have to say that. Was it Jimmy McGriff? Jimmy McPhail. He used to sing with Duke Ellington. Lived here, and he had Jimmy's. It was a club over in Northeast. And because of my dad, right? Like I was exposed to these cats, and so my dad started bringing me on these gigs with those kind of cats, and they really felt like I can do it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
And I was really young. When I was 15, 16, I used to back up the Coasters, the Drifters, the Shirelles, Mary Wells at the Warner Theater.
Wow.
So I was in it young.
Gotcha,
If that means prodigy, then
yeah.
But I was doing it really young.
Wow.
When I was in junior high school, they used to call me. They used to call me Gig Man. My teacher said.
They used to call you Gig Man.
Gig Man.
Wow.
Because I used to have my head on the desk, tired. The science teacher was. I had a gig, man. So they used to call me Gig Man.
That's funny. Did you play in schools as well?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anytime I could pick up my instrument and bother somebody, I would.
Yeah.
I played through school.
That's interesting. Because I teach elementary school, and I remember, man, it was just such a passion to play a musical instrument, and I don't see that in a lot of. I mean, I know some kids have it, or they may get it later as they get to middle school, high school. But man, music, like for me as a young, it was just it compelled me. It's like, man, this is fun.
It was your only calling, probably.
Yeah, man. So you had that kind of experience with music.
Yeah. I mean, remember it was before your time. Like Deodato came out. And then, ironically, just anything that would come out, man. I was in Frank Zappa, Deodato. Eventually, Parliament Funkadelic came a little bit later, like a tad bit later. But the cat, guitar player John Tropez, I used to work with the Manhattan Transfer, and that was big for me because Tropez on a lot of James Brown records, and it's a little Italian cat, bad dude. So we spent almost a couple years with the Manhattan Transfer.
Wow.
But yeah, man, music is just, and back then when you could read. Something that you can hold, like the album covers, you can read about people, and the inserts, and it's just that. See, it's really the stories that compel me as much, if not even more, than music. Yeah, people's lives. Yeah, because that's where music comes from. You know what I mean? Yeah. If they're playing music, a lot of people nowadays you see. They sell themselves on social media, just doing things that for me are not as music, people connecting sort of tissue. Yeah, it's just like check me out kind of stuff, and that's kind of part of the differences you were talking about earlier, with generationally. It's just people have to sell themselves on YouTube, so you got to do these things, but. I like lives. I like stories. That's why I appreciate your program, man.
Thank you, man.
It's about
from the old school.
Yeah, it's about people at the end of the day, man. For me, anyway.
Did you like jazz when you first heard it?
No, I hated
it. Really? Your dad would play jazz around the house? Or?
It's interesting because my father would I would hear a lot of Hank Crawford.
Gotcha.
And Hank was a little funky.
Yeah.
Hank was, so there was a cross section, right? Mm-hmm. And
Grover.
Yeah. So how did I get into? Oh my God. Well, some of the early teeth cutting was with people like Reuben Brown.
Ooh.
Reuben Brown was internationally known in the music circles, but not necessarily in the outside of the popular, because he didn't do a lot of traveling. But everybody knew him. I go on the road, and Charlie Hayden and I bump into you. Charlie Hayden said, "Man, how's Reuben Brown?" Yeah, like all the best of the best knew Reuben Brown and Buck Hill and people like that. So, man, I remember being on this gig with Reuben Brown, Dennis Chambers on drums. Why did I used to teach at Peabody. Gary, and Wallace Roney.
Woo!
I don't know if y'all can see my eyes. I'm talking about. I'm drowning, boy. But it was those drowning moments, and then Charles Davis would come through, and same sort of kind of groups and stuff, but they understood that I really wanted to try to get this thing right, and just being humble, and not not cocky for what reason. I'm drowning, and the Latin gigs were the same for me. Latin gigs were the same. I'm drowning in those rhythms. I drowned for a complete year, but those moments helped me work with Michel Camilo and record 3 albums with him and Keter and different people like that.
I remember doing a gig, man, with Reuben Brown.
Yeah, man.
Keter Betts and Gary Hart. What was it? Gary Hart.
Oh, I know you're talking about
Gary.
Gary.
No.
Not that Gary.
Hart.
Billy Hart.
Billy Hart.
Oh my
Billy Hart, I'm sorry.
God. Jabali.
At the One Step Down, man. I was in college days, but they would let young cats and give you a chance. And man,
if you were earnest about getting up there, and you want to, and see, you ask questions, and you got off the bandstand, you probably say, "Hey, man." First thing you say is, "I'm sorry, bro." But what is this? What is this? Right? Because next time I get here, if I'm given another chance, I want to get it a little bit better than I had last time.
No doubt, man. And they could really, like those older cats would really, if they saw something in you like that, man, they would give you opportunity.
They'd embrace you.
Man, so.
That's why I'm looking for the cats. I mean, look, Corcoran lived at my house.
Yeah, he told me. I interviewed him. He told me.
Yeah, he lived at my house.
Yeah.
Rashawn, I gave him my car.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a Saab.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't doing too well, but he kept it for a few years. He was in high school. I gave him my car, man. It's just like when you see that kind of thing, and this is kind of, like you said, kind of probably what's missing a lot. Ain't no reason for folks who, if you really want it, there's no reason for them not to have reached out to you or to me. And try to make a way to. I mean, I used to carry Keter's equipment up them stairs at the 219 Club over in Alexandria. Just to be there. Just to see it and smell it and get to know it. And then he puts me on a gig with Sarah Vaughn.
Wow.
That's the way it works.
Yeah. Wow.
Don't think I'm going to recommend you if I don't know you.
Yeah.
I can't put you on a gig with Cassandra Wilson if you haven't shown me that you've absorbed enough to be able to do that.
Yeah. And
that's the game, man.
Another thing, man, you got to not only how you play, but your character and how you carry yourself and all that, so that's part of it. Certain people you ain't gonna send. You ain't gonna send, because
look, and I'm gonna say this because I am not more proud of anybody that I know that has come through this city in a particular way than Corcoran. The night they flew him out to Arizona, before they had the dinner with him, I get a call from Louis Nash.
Wow.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, if Corcoran was a different sort of individual, what would I have said to Louis?
Exactly.
And how could that have possibly influenced that scenario?
Yeah.
It's not about you and how much you think you know in your instrument. It's about people. Mm-hmm. It's about people. And it so happens that Corcoran is one of the best bass players in the world.
Yeah.
And of course, All I had to do was tell the truth.
Yeah.
And that particular truth is even why they considered him in the first place.
Wow.
You dig what I mean?
Yeah,
like character.
Yeah.
Character. So
Beautiful. Yeah. I want to talk about the bass. Okay. You are one of the few bassists that play the acoustic and electric bass at a very high level. Does playing each of these instruments require wearing a different musical hat?
You know what? In the way that I play the electric bass, it doesn't. Mm-hmm. First thing, they're two totally different instruments.
Okay.
I am more proficient on the upright than I am on the electric bass, but because of my approach on the upright bass, I'm able to transfer that very well to electric.
Okay.
At its inception, the bass just kind of provides root and rhythmical movement.
Yeah. But those two instruments also have a different language. Like a jazz cat can't just pick up a electric and be doing all that kind of stuff, right?
Well, but see, all that kind of stuff, that's what I want to address.
Okay.
All that kind of stuff. All of my favorite records, all the hits, all that kind of stuff that I kind of referenced a few minutes ago, is not on there. Boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 you know, boom,
Yeah.
be-doo-doo, boom. You know what I mean? Where's all that stuff? It's simple. Listen to James Jamerson, Anthony Jackson, Chuck Rainey, cats that have walls bigger than this with gold and platinum records on it.
Yes.
That's the music that I grew up with.
Gotcha.
All that stuff wasn't there. All that stuff wasn't there. I followed Anthony Jackson with Michel Pettruciani and Michel Camilo. And so he and I are friends. And he told me about the Arif Mardin, the Naughty record by Shaka Khan. That's one of the 2-inch reels. They let him take that home with him. He sat with that for 6 months.
Wow.
6 months. And what he did was perfect the nastiest quarter notes that you ever want to hear on a record. You dig? He practiced with it for 6 months.
Wow.
Came back and laid his tracks. Because that's what he's got, a couch in his house, and he's got a big 2-inch.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
he sleeps and eats music. Like he's a god to me. And the nastiest quarter is all that stuff.
Yeah.
Are not on the records that move my soul.
Gotcha.
And so when you think about boom, doo-doom, boom, ba-doom, boom. I mean, listen to the James Jamerson track on What's Going On.
Yeah.
That is upright bass. James Jamerson, guess what he used to do?
Wow.
He played upright bass, at the clubs, and would go back and record here. So it was the same sort of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, listen to those bass lines. Those are upright bass lines.
Wow.
They had melody. They had direction. You know.
Yeah. You know, Wes Biles.
Yes.
Man, we did a gig a few weeks ago, man, and so at the end of the gig they was playing this King Floyd. What's that song, man? It was a famous. And that was him on bass, huh?
That was him on bass with King.
Yeah,
You know, with King Floyd.
yeah. And he said, "Yeah, that's me." And I'm like, "What?" Simple but to the point.
But look, think about music. AP, you know this better than anybody else. Music is a community, so it could be a freaking bagpipe and a piano. That's the community, right? And there's only but so much space between us, right? If when cats were penning great songs, it's a crime for me to do when they're trying to talk about the sun and the moon, right? Or the guitar player has a very important line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like finding each other's space. And you think about our society and how fractured it is, because everybody's starting to feel like our sense of space is being lost,
Yeah.
right? Or you're getting lost in this thing and you're not being accounted for, all these things. Society, as well as the bandstand, as well as a great composition, works well when the space is there for everything to kind of come together, and everybody can live within their space, but as a part of a fabric.
Yeah.
That's all music is. It's just a reflection of our society. Now everybody wants all the space. I have no tolerance for you, no tolerance for you, no tolerance for you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do my thing.
Got you.
And I don't care if it's impedes upon anybody else's. So then you get all that stuff.
Got you.
You dig? And that's the truth about music, man. You know, a lot of people are doing really well on social media, showing, you know, the flights of fancy and all the rest of that. And, you know, that's great. But if you get into a studio and you got a great song, you're not going to do 1/100th of all of that stuff.
No doubt.
It's just
I assume playing, and I'm talking more so the upright, you have to have a lot of endurance, especially on them up tempos, man. Where you 10 chords, we on chorus number 15. How do you maintain? And then you got the blisters and that sort of thing. How do you maintain?
If you go back and look at something that's kind of circulating, Betty Carter and Leverkusen, it's Benny Green, myself, and Winard Harper. And you look at the tempos and what Betty was doing and what I was able to do back then, and I'm like, I asked myself the same question, man. I can't, you know, man, it's just, if pressed, I could probably pull it off, but I can't, I cannot, like, it's just, I'm sure I could probably do it, but just even thinking about it makes me tired, bro. I'll be 63 next 2 weeks. And it's not that old. There's a lot of cats my age still out there doing it. But man, I did it a lot, and I'm grateful for it. And now my tempo's got to be grown man.
Yeah,
you know?
say grown man tempo.
Grown person's
Yeah,
tempo.
got you. I remember asking you, man, how do y'all, bassists and pianists, how do y'all learn all these tunes? And I remember you telling me, man, just practice playing the melodies. Mm-hmm. You know, I remember you telling me that. And but you have to learn the melody and the chord changes.
Yeah. Well,
how do you?
But think about it too, like the chord changes. There are different possibilities, but when you listen to just a melody being played with no accompaniment, and you've listened to a lot of music, right? Like the melody, you can almost start to hear what the chord changes would be, like the possibilities of those roots, right? Do 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 ba do do deep. Right.
Sunny side of the street. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
3, 6, 2, 5. Yeah, you can just and all of it just comes, man.
But y'all have to learn a lot of songs, man. Are you just relying on your ear, or you have to go through? What's your process for learning a song? Let me ask you.
Well, check this out. Talk about generational differences. You cannot, and I realize this. I cannot be upset with a youngster who this music is not played anywhere anymore. Yeah. It's WPFW on a rare occasion.
Yeah.
There used to be WDCU.
WDC, yep.
You remember? And you could always hear some jazz on the radio. So that's another thing, just listening to it, just being able to hear it, like it's a part of our diet. Yeah. It's not in anyone's diet anymore. So you actually, how, if I'm young and I'm playing, run around here, like I gotta go teach the youth orchestra in a little bit, Blues Alley. And if you're running around here trying to figure out, tunes, like where do I start? Like like my parents can't tell me, what tunes I should be listening to, or musicians, and and so I used to go, oh man, y'all got all this information, but information is only useful if you know what to look for. You know what I mean? It's like chat box, right? Like if you don't know enough of the English language and ideas and syntax and all that stuff, chat box can't really help you. You know what I mean? Or whatever it spits out, you think is right. Yeah. Like the dude got disbarred, the lawyer, because he put his whole case in chat box.
Wow.
He got disbarred.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was just being lazy. But you can't. Technology is only as good as you can make it. You know what I mean? And if you don't have anything to put into it, how are you going to know what tunes to listen to and which versions? Like, I tell people to listen to a tune, and they come back and tell me about some Johnny Come Lately when Dexter Gordon did it, and but they don't know. Like it's just that it came up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Joe around the corner is flipping and bopping and messing up, and he's learning that. When Dexter Gordon, he could have been checking that out, but how would you know? So that's first thing you gotta. It's always about listening and copying. Just like how we grew up, listening and copying. It's not somebody telling you, well, if you put this on a 2/5, you'll sound great. No, that's not how you tell a story. So you gotta find your mentors. You gotta find people who can say, hey, check out this Mingus record, check out this Paul Chambers. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you just go listen, copy, and love it. Yeah.
What is your listening diet like nowadays?
For years, it's been classical music.
Really?
For years, it's been classical. Because the greatest 2/5s you'll ever hear come from a lot of those recordings. I mean, I say 2/5s. I don't. I'm like, Gary Bartz has taught me a lot just by listening to him and his teaching, his philosophy. It's like, by improvisation, I'm not going to get into all of that, but 2/5 is the one.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And that's why these cats will be able to tell more fluid stories than now, because it's like 2, I'm at the 5, now I'm at the 1. It's like 3 different stories.
Yeah.
Tell one story, But anyway, I'll save that from teaching in a couple hours. Damn, I got lost, bro. You were just asking me. I forgot.
I just said, what's your listening diet like?
Yeah, it's mostly classical, but it's diverse. I like a lot of indie music. I listen to the old classics, jazz. Like I'm a proud member of the D.C. chapter of the Robert Glasper Black Radio Orchestra.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Do you listen to music you don't like?
Not purposely. If I run into it, I usually. It
used to have to resonate with you some way.
Yeah, I don't purposely set out to. I listen to, like I'm a rabbit hole follower, right? Like I hear a name that I haven't heard before.
Gotcha.
I don't care what genre it is.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't care what genre it is.
So you mentioned mentor and the importance of mentorship. Was there who would you say was your mentor, like the cat that really helped?
Well, beside my parents, Keter Betts.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Y'all had a heavy relationship.
Oh, and just like we were talking about corporate at mine. I lived at Keter's house. He and Pinky, his wife, and kids, the twins.
Wow.
They were, whether they wanted to be or not, we were family. Like, who is this dude? Yeah, Keter played at my first wedding, and man, he was everything to me, man.
And I was reading you won the National Endowment for the Arts award in jazz. What was that?
It was for jazz study. So the National Endowment for the Arts.
Mm-hmm.
I was awarded that when I was in college at UDC before I left college.
Okay. You went to UDC as well?
I went to UDC.
You said you went
Calvin
to Bowie
Jones.
and UDC?
I went to Bowie first.
Okay.
Charles Davis was over there, trumpet player. And then I went over to UDC. And I left there early to join Betty Carter.
Was the great Calvin Jones there? And Miss Corey?
That's why I went there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Calvin Jones, all day long. Just different ensembles and different music. And that's where I went.
Yeah. I also want to. Now, when did you go to New York? Because when I was in high school, not high school, when I got up here and was in college, I started to play around a little bit. I don't think you was in the area as much. You was probably off on the road.
Yeah. When did you start college?
87.
Oh, I had been in New York 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. So you moved to, you made a deliberate choice to move to New York?
So I was in the practice room at UDC, and Betty had just finished Blues Alley.
Okay.
And they were going up to Philadelphia. And ironically, 2 weeks before that, I got my first Betty Carter record from the library, the live at in San Francisco, the famous place. And I had been checking that out. So, and then Bernard is sitting in the back of the practice room at UDC, just listening.
Who's
Bernard
this?
Harper.
Okay.
And Bernard was the one that really introduced me to New York in a very, very big way. He told me about the auditions. Betty had, wanted to change her bass player. And so, I don't know if it was that night or the next day, I drove up to Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And I checked Betty out there, made my introduction, and her bass player was like, he knew what. Yeah. He knew that she was, she was going to have auditions. Uh-huh. And wasn't a week later, man, I was in the band with Betty Carter. And that, from there, listen, we did a few gigs up in Vermont and some other things. First gig in New York was at the Blue Note opposite Freddie Hubbard.
Wow.
And look, those two...
Were you nervous?
Look, everybody had heard about this bass player that Betty Carter just hired.
Oh.
Now, wait a minute. Rufus Reed came down.
Wow.
Not, like whoever was in town. Yeah. And plus it was Freddie Hubbard, but, mm-hmm. they no, let me restate this. They did not come to see me, but they came because they actually heard as well about this bass player, mm-hmm. that Betty got a new bass player, and they mm-hmm. paid attention. Yeah. Because Betty Carter, she was like her and Art Blakey, mm-hmm. the big mentors up in New York. And man, what time? This is 1985. And what a week and leading up to New Year's, and those two fought like cats and dogs.
Who, Betty?
Yeah, because Betty would open, and she would do her like 2 hour. Mm-hmm. We used to do 3 hour sets, bro, straight.
Really?
3 hour sets straight. 3 hour sets straight.
Man, that's crazy.
You talking about training, bro?
Yeah.
Man, prize fighting. And Betty pulled one of those on Freddie. And boy, they were furniture moving.
Really?
Some furniture moving.
Wow, that's crazy.
And to pull them two apart.
Really? It was like...
Oh, man, Freddie Hubbard.
Oh.
And then he got on the stage, he says, wow, what a weight. I never forget that.
Dang.
Ooh, man.
So how long did you play with Betty?
2 years.
Okay.
And I did her Grammy record. Look what I got.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And how did you adjust to New York? Was it?
It was a little nutty. It was a little nutty. We worked all the time, so I was always on a plane.
Okay.
That
was a good time too. I mean,
85. It was before they cleaned up New York.
Yeah.
So, part of me had to get out of there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I couldn't. I needed to breathe a little bit. I needed to breathe. It was just too much. It was just too much of everything, man.
So how long were you in New York?
85, 87. 87 is when I split. We had just finished the record, I think. And Yeah, it was around 87. But see, in that short period of time, I started working with, Abdulla, Sonny Fortune, Ricky Ford, and lots and lots of people. You know what I mean? So it was fertile, man. Yeah. And that right up the Young Lions. So Stanley Crouch used to write for the Village Voice. And there was a famous article of him talking about the who's who of this Young Lion movement. And blessings and all praises due. I was part of that. So it was like Bob Hirsch, Charnette, myself, I think Reginald Veal, and in the different categories. So that was the that Young Lion movement that came through.
Now, when did you connect with the Harper Brothers?
Well, listen, when Nars got you in his clutches, he got you. Right? So I was living with him. I was bouncing between some houses and things. And of course, I was good. I had to be in the Harper Brothers band. Yeah. I had to be in the Harper Brothers band. So,
and did they have a deal with Verve or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to go too deep into that. But
you don't need to go too deep down the rabbit hole. But,
nah, not that one. But it was a beautiful time, beautiful group. And they're my brothers forever, man. You know what I mean? You know how that works.
Y'all still stay in touch?
Yeah. Most of us do, but kind of offshoots. But
gotcha. You played with the legendary Sarah Vaughn, Betty Bebop Carter, and Abbey Lincoln. Three like the heavyweights. Mount Rushmore. Man. Now, was each of those experiences, and you said you were with Abbey for 10 years? Or 13. Yeah.
I mean, I was working with Stanley Turrentine, and Mark Johnson, the drummer, said, man, Abbey needs a bass player. Because his brother, what's his brother's name? Is a bass player, both from Milwaukee. And so I'm in New York, and because Mark and I used to play with Stanley. So he takes me over to her house, man, and we walk in, and it's dark, plants everywhere, and there's this big New York window in the apartment, right? And sitting there is a silhouette. Wow. I'm walking in, and we're walking towards this silhouette, and there's plumes of smoke coming up, right? Probably some weed, right? And she turns around, man, and it's like a freaking movie, man.
Really?
It was just like a movie. That was my first introduction to Abbey. It's like a movie, man. And because then, the thing I will say this on record, I didn't know during my time with her as much as I wish I would have known about her and her life in the movement, the civil rights movement and other things she had done.
Yeah.
I grew about to know it slowly, but I was just glad to be there on stage doing the music, man, and learning, but there's so much more to Abbey Lincoln. Oh, my God, man. She was just a deity.
Yeah.
Wow. A goddess. But, not as people just name themselves a goddess. She earned it, bro.
Yeah.
She earned it in the trenches.
Yeah.
She earned it.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
And those experiences, were they each special in their own way? That's a rhetorical question.
No, I love it. No, and I'm not. I'm just like it. How your question hit me, right? Yeah. It just made me, just takes my breath away. Wow. Look. We get a call. Stephen Scott, the great Stephen Scott, Winard, and myself, to come in to do 3 days of rehearsals with the great Dexter Gordon. It's right after his prostate surgery. I probably should put that. We all get old.
Yeah.
And I walk into a room, and it's the God. You know what I mean? Dexter Gordon, man.
Yeah.
And the first day, he's listening to us. I'm checking out his read. Dexter,
Yeah.
It was cute. Second day, he puts the reed on the mouthpiece, and he's just getting some horn, getting his horn up. Not a note, right? 2 days, right? And we over there playing our little hearts out, right? Third day, he's like, Bowie up. Everything we did for 3 days is wiped out with those 3 notes. Bowie Yeah, I was like, okay, let's go home.
Wow.
I mean, it was like, it's just to watch his process and just to hear those notes come out after the third day.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I get how special
Yeah.
this whole thing is, man.
Yeah.
And it, again, as I speak, man, it has nothing to do with me. It's just the blessings that I've been around to be able to see.
Yeah. So in this jazz thing, you got these tiers. You were high up on the food chain because you were in. It was a great period.
Yeah.
And
it was very fertile. Like I said, the money was there for people to work a lot. And the greats, a lot of the greats were still around for us to work with, and that's the difference,
What inspired you to become a band leader? All these experiences you've had now.
Well, you have to. I mean, like for me, life is to me is just like a smorgasbord, man. I'm gonna taste a little bit of this, and I've made reference to this, like. Not only the music, but like the experiences of trying to put together kind of like a pop or punk, not punk, but a pop and hip hop or some sort of alternative fusion of this and that and the other. All that stuff, personal experimentation leads you someplace, and it has brought me to like. What I want to do and have done to this point, but we're only kind of 2.5 years in to the stuff that we're planning and envisioning for the future for District Collective, right?
Yeah.
All of those personal things have kind of led me here, and that's why you saw the smile on my face. Those types of things are important, I mean, I was Abbey Lincoln's musical director. When Isaac Hayes and Patti Labelle came, I was the MD on that.
Really?
At the Kennedy Center.
Wow.
Yeah, for Radio 1. All those experiences, like now I'm going to go teach the kids now, you know what I mean? Just being able to know what I should be able to convey that they should know, right? That
So how'd you develop? You have to have a certain level of leadership ability. To lead people, whether it's kids
people,
your style of leadership, did you get that from your dad, mom, or where'd you get that from?
I'm a lot bossier.
You say you're a lot bossier?
Anyone else. My father's a great leader, band leader. My mother didn't lead any bands. I mean, they led choirs and things, but my father's a great band leader. So, just watching everybody, man. It's just, and then about who you are too, I just kind of.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
And people, they trust. Eventually, they trust you enough to follow those leads.
And then you develop production. You start. You on Logic. I see you on Logic, and you writing, composing. What's your? How does that play into your whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when I stopped doing teaching, and it was never really. I was full time for the last 5 years of my teaching, so I stopped in 2017, and I got my little setup in the basement in the corner, and Nate Jolly. Let me shout out Nate Jolly. Came back from L.A., came down to JoJo's one night, and we must have kicked it for about 2 hours. Now, I knew him, and Noble. I knew the family long before that, but Nate had been out there producing, and he says, man, I'm looking for somebody, and man, I was on a plane, and it's 2017, like in the fall, and I fell in love, man. It was just like, I love what he was doing. I love what he had been, had done for himself and what he was doing, and I just hung around as much as I could for quite a while, just observing Nate and Noble, and just started to learn a little bit more about that stuff. So then when you see like little videos of me singing, and I don't think I never rapped. Now, come on, I don't put that on me. Did I say a couple words? Well, please forgive me, people. That should have never happened. But it's all about that journey you talk about, you know. And I think, you know, the production, songwriting, like you came over to the crib.
Yeah, because you had dancers and the whole choreograph.
Oh, that was at the Kennedy Center.
Yeah. That was your vision?
Yeah.
Man, that's impressive, man.
But it's just all the stuff you get exposed to, and it's certain things you get curious about, you know. And I think that's the key, to stay that way, and then eventually your calling will come. Like the Betty Carter wasn't really popular to her 50s, although she did that record with Ray Charles. Yeah. But she didn't become Betty Bebop, you know, as we knew her until she was in her 50s. Wow. And that's what she told me. You got to stay in there until that thing, you know, kind of makes it known to you.
No doubt.
You know.
We're almost at the end, good brother. I just want to touch back on education. What's some of the challenges that you see with education? I mean, you know. Well, and let me just say, before you answer that, let me just tell the people, you worked in D.C. public schools, you lectured at prestigious institutions like the Shenandoah Conservatory, the University of Missouri. You were the musical director of the Blues Alley Youth Orchestra, bass teacher at Duke Ellington School for the Arts, and you're a teaching artist at the Washington Performing Arts Society. I just want to let the people know that you really a teacher.
Well, yeah. I mean,
educated.
Yeah, license and all that stuff. If you are committed to giving to another human being, there's no challenge.
Heavy. I like it.
Think about it, because who can stop you?
That's true.
Who can stop you?
That's right.
Who can stop you? You know, because it doesn't have to take place in an institution. Yeah. You say, look, okay, we're going to do this here, but come check this out, or read this, or come, you know, see me play, or hear me talk in another place, you know.
So what I mean by as a challenge, do you find, like, when we were young, I know when I was young, I wanted this. I was motivated. I had some intrinsic motivation. Do you find that
the motivation is not there anymore?
Yeah. Do you find with a lot of our young people?
Well, here's what it is. As much as passionate as you and I were, and many other people, there was some hard-headedness.
No doubt.
Just stop pretending.
yeah. No doubt.
I was that fool in the back of the class.
No doubt.
Throwing spitballs and, you know, not paying attention all the time. And so, you know, that's just the nature of young people.
Gotcha.
And even if they don't appear to be listening and absorbing, they do.
Gotcha.
Right? Their brains are the most fertile. Yeah. Right? And they're like, they're picking it up, man. Yeah. And you just stay steadfast. Like I said, nobody can stop you. And whatever lessons that they did not appear to really pick up or be interested in, will be the ones that kick in at a different point in their life, and they go, damn, Mr. Parker told me that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it surprised them because they know they were throwing spitballs. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I actually picked that up. Yeah. That's what I say. You know, I'm very down on institutions. Anything with brick and mortar, they have to follow certain protocol, and some of that protocol is antithetical to the process of educating or making it easy to do it. Yeah. And that's what I say. Nobody can stop you. You've touched so many lives, and that's what we're here to do. It's not like, did you get everything? Great. Yeah. You know, gotcha. It's just like, if I can touch you in some sort of way, I've done my job.
No doubt. I got a couple more questions. Sure. Okay. Now, how many recordings do you have?
How many? Like my personal
your
ones?
Personal recordings.
Listen, this is why all roads have led me to District Collective. I tell you, because I've got. I did a compilation record with. I paired people like Gregoire Moret with Shakara Rogers from here, Christy DeShiel with Federico, Regina Carter with Micah Robinson.
Wow.
I've never released it. I have not. No, I did release it on kind of a limited release. But you could see that's not really that wasn't really my focus, right? I'm more interested in like the process and all of that stuff.
Gotcha.
I produced it and I played certain things on it, and but that wasn't really my record. It was like and maybe I'll revisit. But like there's some fantastic Gregoire.
But you had the Cinquenan?
Cinquenan? Yeah. We had a little CD.
Yeah,
I think
that was some beautiful.
It was beautiful, man. And so like for me, just doing that, it has been more my motivation than actually trying to get out there, which has not always been the smartest or the best thing that I could have done in those situations, because people really needed to know Cinquenan. And that compilation, if I had someone else to mix it, there's some beautiful music on there.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Lena Cycli is on that. I mentioned her before in another conversation. She's an amazing vocalist, and she's on there, and, so I might revisit that to bring it out.
My man.
Victor? Victor Provost.
Yeah.
One of the preeminent steel pianists in the world, man.
Yeah, man. Beautiful.
Mark Prince and Lyle Link.
Yeah.
It's just like
beautiful, man.
So if you're out there and you've ever recorded with me and I didn't really release it, forgive me. I was too caught up in the love that I have and just listening to great players and being around them,
So what's next for Michael Bowie?
Man, just to strengthen our programming. It's all District Collective. It really is. We've got... we're hooking up with DC Legacy to do some things at their spot on 14th and U that will bring beat makers in a organic way with a DJ, and for them to jam things out. And we're at the Eden Hotel every first Thursday. We got this new thing called a workshop where we bring in special guests who will basically have these mentor sessions live of live writing. And everything is about really it's for the creative and economic empowerment of young artists. And it's just, other talks in the works for different things, but it's all about that, man. It's about, it's just like we're sharing what we know right here in conversation. Yeah. I want to do that in real time with real people,
Beautiful. Beautiful, man. Last question.
Yeah.
If the people want to get in touch with you or find out what you're doing, can you tell the people how they can get in touch with you?
Let me see my social medias. District, DISTRIK, KOLLECTIVE, District Collective, with no CT at the end of district and a K at the beginning of collective, right? District with a K, Collective, on all these social media platforms. And I'm Michael Bowie, Michael Bowie Music, I think is my, I told you I'm too old for that stuff. But it's important though. Please come check out what we're doing. If you're a young artist, please come connect with other young artists, and let's see how we can make this your careers and whatever holes we can fill in your creative and or business pursuits in music. Come on down.
Well, big brother, man, I want to thank you, man. It's an honor for real, man.
And look, again, what you're doing for the community and these stories that are being told are very important.
Thank you.
And the initiative that it takes to do all of this is momentous, and it's a mountain of a mission. That's what I'm trying to say. And thank you, man. We thank you.
Appreciate you, man. I just want to capture, man. We got some great talent in this area, man. And
this is DC,
yeah, man. And I was telling somebody, even as a kid, man, I always was able to see people's greatness without feeling like it took something away from me,
That part.
Yeah,
that
but
part.
I was, little things like when I see you, that like impresses me, man, and when your sense of time and I don't say nothing to you, but I pick it all up, man. And so I think it's very important.
I've always felt the love for you, man. It's never ever been anything different. Yeah, but like you think about that statement, and I'm not gonna hold. You think about Ray Brown and his greatness, right? Mm-hmm. Or even a contemporary, Christian McBride, right? Yeah. There's no way that his greatness can take away from it. What it should do, if you allow it, is to let it lift you and let it make you
inspire
grow.
you.
Yes, it's spiritually touching and musically, So there's nothing about someone else's greatness that ever can take away from your light.
That's right.
Right? It's there to feed you.
No doubt.
It's just your lens, right?
Yeah.
You gotta put on the right pair of glasses, right? You gotta have a good lens.
Man. Yes.
Yeah.
There it is. The great Mr. Michael Bowie, right here on A Conversation in Jazz, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.